Alright, Mr. Dennis. Got you all set, brother. Got the new non-dot Toshibas installed for you. Okay. Went ahead and installed. If you remember, you had the LED right here, the switch right here. So what I went ahead and did is just put the switch for your preamp right here. Drilled 2 new holes right here at the top for the LEDs. Okay. And your sideband delay switch is right here on the back. Okay. So that's your sideband switch. Alrighty. Only other thing I did was I went ahead and grounded the connector back here for the remote to ground. I saw there wasn't a ground on there. I just went ahead and done that. That's a habit I do because my Wiimote, my wireless remotes, they need a ground. And even though that connector does ground to the case, it's always good to run an actual ground to it, to the board, just in case that thing ever loosens up in the future. I took the choke off the input transformer. It makes the one pill circuit not work as hard, let's just put it that way. The dead key will not be as high either. You'll notice on the majority of 3 transistor class C amps you'll see out there, we always leave the choke off the input transformer, and that's why we do it. It's going to make the amp run a little cooler. It's going to make this driver section not run as hard as well, because it's basically one of the steps of backing down the driver section just a little bit, so they're not hitting the two pill section, you know, balls to walls, as you can say. And I mean, this thing's working great, man. We're getting 200 bird, no problem, just with the bench radio. I mean, you can't ask for much more than with that amount of drive. 4 watts drive is giving you 200, a little bit over 200 bird. So, and there's your preamp that you asked for right there. I know it's a little dark out here. I ain't got my extra lights on at the moment. Let's see here. See if this helps. There we go. Helps a little bit. All right, so there's the preamp. And went ahead and installed all 3 new 10 ohms. I unsoldered this feedback circuit right here and just shortened the leads up on a little bit. The leads are a little long. It's just a little maintenance, man, I like to do whenever I see amplifiers, you know, that could use a little bit of maintenance. So so she's all ready to go, bud. Back up and running. You got your sideband delay and your preamp that you asked for. And I unhooked the fan here because while I was working on it, I just hadn't hooked it back up. I'll go ahead and show you the unit working, and I'll go ahead and hook the fan back up and get the screws back in there and get it shipped back to you. Alright. Alright, we're using a 4-watt radio, the bench radio, which does about 4 watts RMS. Does about 15 to 20 peak, somewhere around there, just to let you see. A little bit under a watt dead key. Focus now. Oh, 4 watts. Like usual. Go ahead and switch that back around for reflect. Alright. There's your preamp right there. Alright, variable all the way up. 1000-watt slug, looking at the bottom scale. This is on 14.5 volts, by the way. Go. Look at that, a little bit over 200. Go. Go. Swinging like a monkey. Here's your PEP. Oh, 600 watts. What this thing talking though? What is it talking when we get on the mall just like this, just a little bit? About 580 watts. This thing's working good. Old gatekeeper cruising, letting the mop flop out here around the northeast end of Georgia. Break, break, break. Swing. She's working great, brother. Working very good. Everything's good and cool, staying good and cool. She's working top notch. No, let me explain one more thing. I did already explain about the actual torquing of the transistors. I took up the driver transistor, put some more heat sink compound on it. Okay, and I think I already explained this. Sometimes when I do videos in the course of a day or 2 or 3 days, I'll forget what I've already said. But I've had to put 2 different type screws in here to get this driver torqued down. Okay, I used some longer Allen head screws on the new devices right here, the new 2879s. I only had a small issue with one, okay, which is this one right here. I believe it was the bottom left one right here. So what I did to help that get real tight so I could torque that down real well is I used an old trick I learned back in NOM and actually put a little bit of wire down in the hole to get that thing to where it would actually fill in the little gap that it was having from being the actual hole being stripped out a little, and it torqued down perfectly. That's the first time I've ever done that too, by the way. I've seen some old boxes done that way. People have done removed transistors so many times that the holes just get threaded out and smoothed out and all, and I've seen that done in the past. So I had never done it before, but I'm sitting here saying, you know, all the other screws, all the 2 on this one and this top one, they all torque down beautifully because I used some longer Allen screws, so they were actually able to get down in the heat sink a little bit deeper to catch some more threads down there. So they were longer than the screws that were in here. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, there should be no reason I had to take the dang heat sink and flip it around over one screw. So I was like, you know, I'm going to try this. If it works good, so be it. If it don't, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So it worked fine, man. So this thing is torqued down. They both got new heat sink compound on them. So this thing's ready to go, bud. This thing is ready to go. She's working good. Oh, yeah. 600 watts, man. Beautiful. I could hook up the old hot radio, but I don't think there's no need, man. You see what it's doing. I hooked up the hot radio. She'll be doing over about 320 bird and probably about 700 peak. So there she is, man. I hope you enjoy. Hope this thing lasts you 4 to 8 to 10 to 12 times longer than it did last time. And I think we got all the little twerks fixed in it for you, man. So she should do good for you now, bud. I appreciate you being patient with me too, Dennis. I know I've had this box for a little while, man, but we're going around third base on the way to home now. I'm getting caught up. At this point, I only have about 15 or so more repairs here, so I'm doing good, man. Just got to keep pushing along. All right, 73s, Dennis. Go ahead and get the top on and the screws on and get it back to you. Have fun with it. We'll see you. Bye-bye.